What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Got Next podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Baldwin, with my co-host, Donovan Moore.
What's going on, gentlemen? How everybody doing today, man?
Doing pretty good. B, no texting and driving, brother. No, I'm playing. What's good, man? Say what's up to the camera, man.
How's everyone doing? These playoffs have been a doozy so far. Hopefully we finish strong.
Yeah, for sure. Lamar Jackson is home, man. It's the happiest time of the year. You know it's January. You knew it was coming. And here we are. All right. So now it's the conference championship round. That's what we'll be talking about this week. So without further ado, let's get into this week's matchups.
Three-pointers. Outside jumper from three at the bucket.
All righty. First game we'll be covering today is the Bills and the Chiefs. The Bills obviously beating the Ravens last week. And was it a 2-point game? I think it was 27-25 at the end. B, who do you have this week in this matchup?
Well, first things first, I just wanted to say, I saw after the game that Josh Allen and Sean McDermott, they got 7 playoff wins together, and that's a lot for not having a Super Bowl on your resume. I think some of that has to do with them always being the 2 seed. Now that there's a 7 seed, it's kind of like an easy week of the playoffs for them. But they're also 2-0 against the Ravens in the playoffs, as you were just mentioning, Mitch. So, I think Lamar's going to get his 3rd MVP, but is Josh Allen better? I don't know. Certainly in the season that matters, he seems to be a little better, but I don't blame that fully on Lamar last week. I think Mark Andrews was a big reason that they lost, and we'll get to that another time. But for this game, man, it'd be really hard not to go with the Chiefs because the Chiefs are, the best record they've ever had under Andy Reid and Mahomes. But I happen to think if there's going to be one team that they just aren't going to get those calls against, it's going to be the Bills. The Bills have come really close to beating them in the playoffs a couple times. And, if there's ever going to be an opportunity, I think the time is now. Call me crazy, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and pick the Bills. I don't think this is the most talented Bills team we've seen, but I think for some reason that's played to their advantage. And maybe it's made Josh Allen, smarter and safer with the football. And it's made their defense play more with an edge. And there isn't a Stephon Diggs on the team that's demanding 10 receptions a game. I actually saw a quote from Amari Cooper today. He was asked about, how this is a career low for him in catches and yards. And he said, I'm fine with that. It's the most winning I've ever done in my career. And that's great. And I feel like that's such a different mentality than guys like Diggs had on that team. And I think that's part of the reason why Josh Allen's been a better player. And I really think they just need to have the ball last in a 1-possession game to win this game. So this game's going to come down to the end. And I'm just going to go on a limb and say the Bills are going to have a chance to win it at the end, and they will.
Yeah, you made some very valid points. The Bills, they have been a very complete team this year, even with lesser weapons. So definitely give Josh Allen some credit to that. But I just feel like in big games, even every time we feel like there's a chance the Chiefs may lose, they just somehow find ways to win. If it's not their defense stepping up, making clutch plays, or their backup quarterback the year Mahomes got hurt converting to 4th and 1. It's just hard for me at this point to go against Kansas City at home, especially in a high-stakes game like this. The only team that has beaten them at home in the playoffs, I believe, was Tom Brady and the Patriots, who's in a lot of people's eyes the greatest, and the Bengals as well. Yeah, good point. And the Bengals as well. So Joe Burrow definitely went in there and got a dub. But I don't know. It's just something about Kansas City at home at that. With their experience, this is pretty much when the season starts for them, the playoffs. The regular season, Kansas City can look as terrible as they want to, and they'll still find a ways to win. So even last year when we thought the Bills had a shot to beat them, when Buffalo was at home and Kansas City went into their house and beat them, I think the same will happen this year. Chiefs have home field advantage. They have a great defensive coordinator, a solid defense. And I just feel like Kansas City will somehow find a way to win. They always do, and I think that won't change now. I got Kansas City winning.
I thought Donald was going to make this easy. Pick the Bills, because I was actually thinking about picking the Bills, man. But since we're split here, I have to go with my gut. gonna have to go with my heart says. You know what I mean? And the heart says the Kansas City Chiefs, man. They just don't really seem to lose in games like this. I feel like it's gonna come down to the wire. There's gonna be some questionable calls, like there always are for the Chiefs. And I think ultimately, whoever wins this matchup is going to win the Super Bowl. Is going to win, the big thing, So yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs here, reluctantly a little bit because I do think that this is a matchup that doesn't really favor them. I feel like in most matchups it's pretty easy for me to pick them, but in this one it might be a little bit closer. But yeah, ultimately I think Josh Allen's lack of like that elite weapon there, and then the Chiefs are really good against the run game, so I don't know how much James Cook's going to be effective in a game like this. So I think that those things will come into effect. I like that the Chiefs have Marquise Brown and a lot more weapons there than Travis Kelce, of course. So I think that's just going to be more reliable for Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs will come out victorious. Next up, the NFC Championship is going to be the Commanders versus the Eagles. Dono, go ahead and do the honors, man. Go ahead and get started here.
Hey, man, I mean, I really don't know because the Eagles, like we were all talking about, the Eagles, to be completely honest, have the better team. They have the better roster, top 3 defense, elite offense. Offensive line is great. They have probably, if not the best, probably the top 2 or 3 wide receiver duos in the NFL. Probably the best running back, offensive player of the year in their backfield. So they're explosive, man. It's going to be a tough game. It's up in Philadelphia. Their crowd's going to be raunchy, loud, just anything you can imagine. But I feel like the difference here is the Commanders may have the one advantage at where it matters most, quarterback and head coach. So they've been counted out all year. They've been playing with house money. And I feel like a team like that is very dangerous. Kind of similar to when the Giants made their Super Bowl run a few years back and when they went on the road and defeated every team that stood in their path. They went against the Packers, the 49ers, just every tough team to make it there. This is really a toss-up for me, man. I'm not trying to be biased, but I just feel like with the runs Washington's been on, they went up in Detroit and got that win. I still can't go against my guy JD5, man. This is the best season Washington's ever had in my lifetime. And teams like this where they like have no fear, not really anything to lose, it's tough to, see them losing. So I could see Washington going in here and getting a dub, and we're going to be in New Orleans next week. So I'm going to take the Commanders to get an upset here. I think they'll really put the game on Jalen Hurts and try to make Jalen Hurts be the reason the Eagles win. I can live with it if Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball and he defeats us. But if it's Saquon Barkley running for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, getting the crowd hype, Washington has no chance. So I say really key in on Saquon. And I think Jaden Daniels will be the difference. He's just been poised all throughout the run. So that's really all I have to say. I think the Commanders got the advantage at coach and quarterback. So I'm taking Washington to beat Philly.
Yeah, to Dono's point, I kind of think to myself, like if Nick Sirianni was the coach of this Commanders team or if Jalen Hurts was the quarterback, could they have gotten this far? I really don't think so because I think that Dan Quinn kind of built a culture based off his first experience as head coach, and he learned some valuable lessons that he applied to Washington. Obviously, the number 2 pick with Jaden Daniels was just a transformative pick for that organization and took off, way quicker than expected. I think Jaden Daniels is probably at one point going to be the best QB in the NFC. I just kind of see like the talent that I see in the top tier guys who are all in the AFC. I kind of see a glimpse of it in Jaden Daniels. And as long as he doesn't, regress these next couple of years, I think, the sky's the limit for him and he could be a league MVP candidate one day. That being said, I do think the Eagles have the more foundational pieces in them and, a more solid supporting cast. I actually think that's kind of what makes Jalen Hurts to some degree. He's gotten the best running back in the game. Them or Detroit, give or take, best offensive line. Got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, 2 receivers who are getting paid, and A.J.'s just one of the elitist of the elites. And then they got, transformative players on defense like what's that guy who's a decoy candidate on the Eagles, Zach
Bond.
Zach Bond, and then obviously Jalen Carter, just one of the pieces of the league. He could be a decoy one day, and they got young talent in the secondary. It's just like, where is this team weak? Maybe Jake Elliott over 50 yards. That's about it. But But I mean, and that hostile environment in Philly, don't get me wrong. I have a bunch of friends who are Eagles fans. Hate every single one of them. Just Eagles fans y'all are not it, bro. And even though I do live in the DMV and it's not the most fun thing to see the home teams succeed, the Commanders, you got to give credit to people like Dono who've been through hell and back and seen some pretty awful football in their lives to now have an opportunity to see a Super Bowl appearance. So it's a great thing to see, and I'll be rooting for them every step along the way. But my confidence is geared more towards the Eagles. I do think the Commanders, out of the 4 teams left, are probably the biggest underdogs. Like that's probably not if you were to say one team I'm confident isn't going to lift the trophy, most would say them. But hey, it would be a great story. And what's a fun fact about the Buffalo Bills is they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row in the 90s, and they were all in the NFC East teams. It was Giants, Redskins, Cowboys. So the one team they haven't played yet is the Eagles. So therefore, I'm going to say it's going to be a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl, and they'll have faced the full NFC East in all their Super Bowls. And maybe they'll have different luck this time around. But congratulations to the Commanders for the season they had. I think they can build on it, but I do think the road ends here.
Just like B to go on a limb, the Bills and the Eagles. I don't know if I'm going to go that. I'm not going to go that same route there. I do like the Chiefs to make it, and then I like give me the Commanders, man. I haven't picked them all year. I love Jaden Daniels, though. I loved them since before the draft, and why not? Why not at this point pick them? I'd love to see him in the Super Bowl. I think that would be crazy for him to surpass Dakota Prescott in playoff wins, and then also pass Lamar Jackson in playoff wins in the exact same playoff run. That would be insane. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick the Commanders here. I do think that obviously Saquon Barkley's ridiculous. If he goes for 200 yards, I feel like if he goes for over like 150, the game's probably over. But if you stop Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts has not looked good in like a year and a half maybe at this point. Hasn't really looked like he could throw the ball elite like he had that one year when he was almost an MVP. So I feel like the Eagles are kind of weak there. Their defense is good. Jalen Carter was brought up earlier. Definitely a great point, but I mean, if there's any QB out there that's got some wiggle, that can make some moves, he can make some plays, especially when it's inchy time. When times get unchy, the clock's down. It's fourth quarter. Somebody's got to make a play. I'm going to pick Jaden Daniels here. So give me the Commanders in this matchup versus the Eagles. Does anybody have anything else to add?
Well, those some gutsy picks, but should be a great 2 games, and can't wait to recap this and preview Super Bowl 59. Super Bowl 59. We're almost at 60 of them. It's crazy.
This year, I feel like it went by really fast.
It went by snap of a finger, man.
Insane. But appreciate you guys rocking with us for another episode. We'll be back for our Super Bowl picks in a couple weeks. You guys have a good one.